What in the world just went down in the Oval Office? What a disastrous press conference Donald Trump just had with the Italian football club Juventus. They were behind him. Donald Trump was talking about war with Iran, and he was mocking the transgender community. Again, with the Juventus Football Club behind him, he was talking about that he could have negotiated the Civil War better. What in the world is happening? Let me show you what went down. Here, Donald Trump said the United States is not looking for a ceasefire with Iran. Let's play this clip.
The President Emmanuel Macron of France the other day, the G7, it sounded like.
He's a nice guy. Look, he said I was going back home to make a ceasefire. Not a ceasefire. We're long beyond ceasefire. And I said, why do you say that? Why would you say ceasefire? It's a bad term to use. Because a ceasefire means like everything's going swimmingly, we'll take a little time off. It's not. We're not looking for a ceasefire. We're looking for a total, complete victory. Again, you know what the victory is. No nuclear weapon.
Mr. President.
So I thought it was a very badly worded statement by him, and obviously I let him know that.
On the southern border, you've had record.
Then Donald Trump turns to the professional football players behind him, soccer in the United States, the Juventus Football Club from Italy, and he tries to bait them into endorsing transphobia. Here, play this clip.
For that, he was never for open borders, and he was never for, if you think, he was never for transgender for everybody, or men playing in women's sports. You know, he was never for that. Have you ever had women? Could a woman make your team, fellas? Tell me. You think? You're being nice. What do you think? Think a woman could make the team? General managers, what do you think?
Difficult.
We
have a very good women's team now.
You do have, right? Yeah. But they should be playing with women, right? You know, it's one of those things. One of those things. See, they're very diplomatic.
Then Donald Trump again turns to the Juventus Football Club players behind him and starts talking about whether they are here in the United States legally or illegally. Here, play this clip.
Southern border, you've had record low numbers for the month of May, 95 apprehensions, 0 releases, compared to that of the previous administration exactly a year ago, so more than 60,000 releases. What do you attribute that success to?
I like you. Who are you with?
Turning Point USA, sir.
Well, they're very good. Turning Point. Charlie, it's very good. That's what I call a good question, fellas. 1 out of 10, John. 1 out of 10, but that's a really good question. No, we had record good numbers on the border. And people are coming in, but they have to come in legally. Like some of these guys behind me, they have to come in legally. And if they come in legally, we want them. They have to say they love America, they love our country. And if they can't say that, we don't want them. Thank you very much. Very nice. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, press.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Pulitzer Prize. Fella, hey, Doug, take a good picture.
Absolutely.
Pulitzer Prize winner. New York Times Pulitzer Prize. The Times is the bad part.
Donald Trump is then asked if the issue about whether the U.S. should be in war with Iran is dividing his supporters. Play the clip.
Have you seen the Tucker Carlson, Senator Ted Cruz interview? It seems like this issue on whether or not the United States should strike is kind of dividing a lot of your supporters.
No, my supporters are for me. My supporters are America first. They make America great again. My supporters don't want to see Iran have a nuclear weapon. Tucker's a nice guy. He called and apologized the other day because he thought he said things that were a little bit too strong, and I appreciated that. And Ted Cruz is a nice guy. I mean, he's been with me for a long time. I'd say once the race was over, he's been with me ever since, right? But very simple. If they think that it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon, then they should oppose me, but nobody thinks it's okay.
Then Donald Trump lies and claims that the Iranian regime is begging to come to the White House to see him, and that the Iranian regime wants to speak to him in the White House. Play this clip.
In the end, they decided not to do it, and now they wish they did it. And they want to meet, but it's a little late to meet, but they want to meet. And they want to come to the White House. They'll even come to the White House. So we'll see. I may do that, but it's a shame it could have been done the easy way.
The Iranian regime has responded multiple times denying that they want to speak to Donald Trump in the White House. Quote, no Iranian official has ever asked to grovel at the gates of the White House. The only thing more despicable than his lies is his cowardly threat to take out Iran's supreme leader, said the Iran mission to the UN. Then they said, Iran does not negotiate under duress, shall not accept peace under duress, and certainly not with a has-been warmonger clinging to relevance, it said. And then it said that the Ayatollah will not answer to the language of threats. Again, we see Donald Trump making up communications that seem to be not existing with world leaders. And we've seen this occur multiple times as well. Here, Donald Trump is asked a question about, or he answers that he thinks he could have stopped the Civil War. Here, play this clip.
Right up there, I don't know, see the Declaration of Independence, and I say, I wonder if the Civil War, it always seemed to me maybe that could have been solved without losing 600,000 plus people. So a lot of, it's very sad to see. It's very sad to see what's happening.
Thanks, Ben. I just want to interrupt for a quick minute to talk about the climate because through all of these distractions, I want to make sure we remain laser focused on this issue. Let's talk about the Trump administration's latest move that could drive your energy bills through the roof. So recently, Trump's Energy Secretary Chris Wright told Congress that the administration opposes the all-of-the-above energy strategy. That's the same approach Republicans have pushed for decades. But instead, they're now embracing an extreme agenda to gut clean energy just as electricity demand is set to surge across the country. Wright is pushing the new tax bill that would repeal clean energy investments, and the consequences are staggering. If Republicans move forward, energy bills could spike by $110 as soon as next year, and up to $400 within a decade. Just eliminating 2 key tax credits could lead to a 20% jump in electricity costs alone. Meanwhile, big industries would pay $14 billion more in energy costs by 2035. And let's talk jobs. Trump's attacks on clean energy have already stalled or killed over 140 projects, threatening nearly 92,000 announced jobs. Full repeal would cost 700,000 American jobs over the next 10 years. So the question is, will Republicans side with working families or keep raising your energy costs to hand out tax breaks to billionaires? I want to hear what you think about all this, so make sure to let me know in the comments. We'll make sure we continue to cover these important climate issues here at MeidasTouch. Now back to you, Ben.
Donald Trump is asked if the Iranian regime could fall. And again, the Juventus Football Club players are behind him when this is taking place. Here, play this clip.
It's a shame could have been done the easy way.
Do you think the regime there could fall?
Sure, anything could happen, right? Of that, sure, that could happen. Yeah,
Mr.
please.
President, the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Donald Trump then talks about how maybe you're going to have to fight a war. Maybe it'll end. Maybe it'll end quickly. Play the clip.
And it's interesting because I did ask Tucker, I said, well, are you okay with nuclear weapons being in the hands of Iran? And he sort of didn't like that. He didn't want to really, but he sort of didn't like that. And I said, well, if it's okay with you, then you and I do have a difference. But it's really not okay with him. Therefore, you may have to fight. And maybe it'll end, and maybe it'll end very quickly. But there's no way that you can allow, whether you have to fight or not, you can allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon because the entire world will blow up. Not going to let that happen.
Mr. President, you had a bit of a row with the president.
He's then asked by Caitlin Collins of CNN, does that mean you have not yet made a decision about is America going to war? And Trump goes, I make my decisions only at the last second. Let me show you this. Let's play it.
Does that mean you haven't made a decision yet on what to do?
I have ideas as to what to do, but I haven't made a final. I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean, especially with war, things change with war. It can go from one extreme to the other. War is very bad. There was no reason for this to be a war. There was no reason for Russia, Ukraine. A lot of wars there was no reason for.
Trump continues to be obsessed with the concept of stealth. And he says that we have stealth planes that are flying around. Play this clip.
Yeah, we have the best military equipment in the world. You see that with this fight. We have planes that are undetectable, flying around like, nobody's able to see them stealth. You guys want to be stealthy tonight. You can be stealth, you'll never lose, right? But these are incredible planes and weapons. We have the best weapons in the world.
While all of this is taking place as well, We learned that 2 soldiers died in the Middle East. The Department of Defense claims it's unrelated to anything that's currently going on. That's what their claim is. The U.S. Department of Defense just announced the death of 2 soldiers deployed in the Middle East as a result of non-combat related incidents. This week within the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility, Sergeant First Class Emmett Wilfred Goodridge, 40 of Roseville, Minnesota, with the 2nd Battalion, 22nd Infantry Regiment, 1st Infantry Brigade Combat Team, 10th Mounted Division, deployed in Kuwait, who died on June 15th. And we're also learning about Staff Sergeant Saul Fabian Gonzalez, 26th of the 101st Combat Aviation Brigade, and 101st Airborne Division deployed in Iraq, who died on June 17th. I didn't hear Donald Trump addressing those deaths at all, the same way Donald Trump did not address the deaths of the 4 American soldiers who died in Lithuania rather. And in Lithuania, they acknowledged that and actually had a very solemn ceremony in Lithuania, or the 2 United States soldiers who died in New Mexico. No mention of that from Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump's disastrous press conference there in the Oval Office follows Donald Trump held this very bizarre press conference in the White House lawn earlier, where he was putting 2 big, gigantic flagpoles on the north and south lawn. That's what Donald Trump was spending his time doing. He also took down Hillary Clinton's portrait in the White House and replaced it with a photo of himself on the American flag, an American flag Trump face. That's what Donald Trump was doing as well. Here's how Fox was describing Donald Trump's press conference at the White House lawn earlier. They said, not quite sure when this thing is going to end. Seems like Trump can be loitering on the grounds for some time now. Here, play this clip.
So not quite sure when this impromptu press conference is going to end, so we just want to hang for a lot of it. And we believe that the president could be loitering on the grounds of the White House for some time now. They are erecting 2.
Now, going back to Donald Trump's disastrous press conference earlier in the day on the White House lawn, this thing was a complete and utter disaster. Donald Trump was asked about California Governor Newsom, and Trump basically said that he's going to withhold resources from California. Let's play this clip.
Your recent dust-ups with Governor Newsom impact additional wildfire relief out there. They've requested $40 billion.
Sure, maybe. The man's incompetent. He shouldn't have fires like that. You clean the floor of your forest and you won't have any forest fires. You know, Austria has very, very flammable trees. They don't have forest fires because they clean the floors. They maintain their forests. It's good, in fact. You know, hatred is never a good thing in politics. When you don't like somebody, don't respect somebody, it's harder for that person to get money if you're on top. But he's done a bad job.
How will you?
And then Donald Trump was talking about golf. Play the clip.
When you find time in your schedule.
35 club championships. You all know that.
I know that.
35 club championships. I haven't hit a ball in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't know.
Time to get out there.
It's time to been a little busy. Wouldn't you rather have me be doing what I'm doing?
Of course.
In the end. See the way they have that hoisted, it's great. Because if you lift it up from one, you have to lift it from the bottom. But you have to get it there. But if you lifted it from without that, the whole thing would split.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Very strange behavior. And again, with the Juventus Football Club behind him, doesn't get much odder than that. Anyway, hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.